Welcome to the Savvy Woman Show. I'm Catherine Magana, a certified financial planner professional, here with Rachel Ivanovich, a wealth advisor and tax strategist for Savvy Woman Wealth Management, where we educate, entertain, and enlighten women into being educated investors, as well as help them with their financial futures. So the purpose of the Savvy Woman Show is to educate women about money, investing, life in general. We've had the opportunity to meet and interview female advocates, entrepreneurs, authors, and much more. And so from these real life stories, we want you to learn and be empowered. So we're really excited today to have a special guest with us.
So today we're going to interview Kim Folsom, president of Founders First Capital. Kim is the chairperson and CEO. So welcome today.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
So why don't you kind of share with us a little bit about your background and maybe your story and kind of how you ended up where you're at today?
Certainly. Well, again, thank you for having me. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so
nice.
I am the founder, chair, and CEO of Founders First Capital Partners and the founder of Founders First Community Development Corporation, which our intention is, regardless of who you are, where you live, what your background, birthright, you can be a sustainable job creator with your business. So not helping you start a business, but helping you grow your business so that it can be a tool for wealth creation, which is something that you guys, based on your areas of expertise, is a really big thing.
So can you just elaborate a little bit more? So do you provide coaching or funding or a little bit of everything?
So specifically, we, on the nonprofit side, we provide curriculum, coaching, and resources. So there's a variety of capacity building grants that we provide them. We have a series of 4 different accelerator programs, depending on the revenue size of the company. It's generally companies between as small as 100,000 in annual revenues up to 10 million in revenues. And so they can go into one of our 3 programs that teach them how to create a growth plan that gets them on the path minimally to get on the path of growing 30% period over period, but ideally to get them on the path of growing to be a 7 or 8 figure company, mid-market, because as you guys know with wealth creation, there's so much more value that's created when your business is 7 and 8 figures as well as struggling at 6 figures. And so we run about 9 programs a year, and then the other, those are 3, and then the other program we have is one that teaches people how to lead a team of getting work done through people,
which is like a leadership type of program.
It's leadership. Yeah. It's how to hire.
Sounds like coaching, maybe a little bit too.
Hire, develop, and like do evaluations, because most entrepreneurs either they accidentally get into it or or they may intentionally. But if you don't know how to get things done through people, can be a really frustrating experience. So it's actually practices methodology, how to hire, and how to develop talent management, provide feedback and coaching, and then providing them coaches. So they're not doing this alone. And the other thing is, so it's all of our programs are taught by experienced entrepreneurs. So they're running businesses on their own or have run businesses. And then there's actual playbooks that they actually apply it to their business, and then they have to share it with others. So generally they're going through these programs with 10 to 20 other entrepreneurs, and so they're not alone going through that. And so those
and is it here local? Is it in San Diego or is it all over? Or how
so they're hybrid. So about 2/3 of the program is online, and most of them have a on-ground component. So they have to, there's lots of accountability, so they have to create either a growth plan or leadership plan, and they have to present it to someone, and that may be at our executive, summits type of thing where they come and they present that. And then our last piece is a completely asynchronous online on-demand, which teaches them how to get ready to raise funds to grow their company.
And that's our financial component.
Yeah, that's the passport to funding readiness. And because many people have never raised money for growing their companies.
How did you get involved with this? What was your career path?
So I'm, as I shared, a serial entrepreneur. So Founders First is my 7th company.
That's what I thought.
So my prior 6, most of them were tech companies, software companies that I ran, and I wanted to, from my years of being an undergraduate, wanted to start my own company, and it just took me, 8 years. As I was just showing my team with a team meeting today, 8 years to start my first company. And it's like, I didn't want somebody else to go through that, to not just start but grow a company. And so it was through those 6 companies, stubbed my toe a lot, but had some successes too. I successfully sold 3 of those businesses. Okay. And so, wanted to share that opportunity with other people so that they could have a better, faster experience. If nothing else, learn from somebody else.
So have you always been an entrepreneur as a young girl?
Oh, yeah. Well, how I got connected to you guys was through the Girl Scouts program.
Yes.
And so that
I was wondering.
I didn't know that's, in the 70s, they didn't call it entrepreneurship, but the whole idea about, building relationships with people and providing a product or service and having that connection, that was my first.
So are you a cookie?
I was one of the top cookie sellers.
She's a cookie mom.
I am. Well, my daughter's a Girl Scout right now, but I was a Girl Scout for about 6 years when I was younger. And I know Rachel was.
I was a cool woman a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was, from Girl Scouts. I made it through just the first year of cadets, but, was
other things come up.
Yeah,
I know the feeling.
Top
Yes.
cookie salesperson.
So how many cookies did your daughter sell this year?
So she ended up at 650 boxes this
Good for
year,
her.
which
my
is
gosh.
low for our troop because these girls do 1,000 to 2,000 boxes.
so
So
impressive.
I was like,
So
it's a lot because I was
impressive.
out there with her, and it's a
That's
lot,
impressive.
especially working full time, and all,
Yes.
it's a lot of work for these girls. So maybe tell us a little bit about. Obviously, you got the Cool Woman Award. Maybe tell us a little bit about your success and getting that award.
Yeah, I mean, it was a full circle moment because as I first came to San Diego, as when I was in elementary school, about I'm going to say 3rd grade, I was walking home from school and I saw all these girls meeting in the garage a couple times, and I went home and told my mom and said, "Hey, we just moved to San Diego from Philadelphia."
Oh, okay.
I was walking home with my sister, and it's like, wow, what do you think they're doing? And then we found out it was girls. It was brownies.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
and we and 2 months later, we ended up joining that brownie troop, and the rest is history. So that was in the early 70s, so kind of a full circle moment. Some of the people I know, and in fact, one of the women who nominated me, she is a graduate of our program. And so got nominated to be a Cool Woman, which is a Girl Scouts award, and hadn't been at that, the Girl Scouts headquarters for San Diego and Imperial County since I was a Girl Scout in middle school. So it's like, who would have thought some, 50 years later that I would have gotten.
Did any of the brownies show up for the celebration that you knew back in the 70s?
Oh.
Hey, you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
But
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing event. So many powerful
Very
women,
inspirational.
And, and for you to get acknowledged, and just it's an honor to have you here today with us because we know it sounds like you're such a leader in the community and a trailblazer in your business. And so why don't you share a little bit, maybe a mistake that you came across, maybe early in your career, or some advice that you would share for somebody that's an entrepreneur, or something that you learned?
oh gosh, so many. We actually use the traction methodology for growing businesses, and one of the things that, as part of that practice, is doing a segue. And one of the prompts that we got this week was, what problem or challenge did you overcome, and what did you do to solve that? I shared that I just recently became a columnist for Inc. magazine, and actually this month published my first article.
Congratulations. That's great.
But it was on my vision board for 6 years, and I knew other people, colleagues that had been columnists, and I was trying to figure out, well, what can I do, sending notes and all of those particular things. And everybody's got their own way of achieving that opportunity or anything. I mean, like it was shared, it took me 8 years to start my first business, and I didn't know. So, and the biggest thing, I guess, is getting people comfortable with asking, asking and not taking no as never. It just maybe not now. And sometimes you can get the feeling that if I ask no, I'm gonna, they're gonna be tired of me. Well, they may, but that doesn't stop you. But so many times people don't ask, and it's like the reality is the squeaky wheel gets the attention, and not, you can be, polite about it, but saying, hey, I really want to do this because this is where I want to add value, or this is where I want to contribute, and not saying that you must give this to me, because, there's sometimes people think that they're entitled for things, but, hey, what advice would you give me? Or what advice would you give someone? So the perception that, a no is never, and it's not. It may be not now.
Exactly.
And the other is, continue to ask. And it takes persistence, but it's that persistence, the grit, and, that you can overcome so many things.
That's so true. I love hearing that. So we'd love to hear maybe some myths and misconceptions that business owners have about building a business that you've come across.
Oh, gosh, there's
so many.
So many.
So many.
I would say one is with regards to the time and effort. It is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and there's not a one size fits all. Everybody's got their own different journey. And this article that I wrote was that, not everybody has to be a unicorn. There's so many other options. I look at it as there's cousins of the unicorn. There's the gazelles, there's zebras, there's Clydesdales, which are different size companies that you can aspire to. But find what you're passionate about, find things that you're good at, but it takes time. And it takes the willingness not just to do the work, but you have to take the time to work on the business instead of just working in the business. And that takes some discipline to do, such that you're going to do the planning, you're going to do the learning from others, you're going to have to build a network. I mean, you asked about one of the other things. With one of my first companies, one of my investors shared with me, hey, I'm a member of YPO. You should join too. And it's like, I don't have time for that. And it was just so much about business is the network and other people and learning from them, and, and being able to make the time to do that and doing it with folks that are going to help you get there. So, one is the time, the other is just as important is what you're doing is the network to help you do that, and to asking. And I would say the third thing is building a business with other people's money. I think
that's the thing that a lot of people don't know where to start or where to begin. And I think it sounds like you have the whole kind of infrastructure in place for that.
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of it. I mean, I've raised over $200 million for the 7 companies that I've had. And it wasn't one of those that when I started, I all of a sudden had it figured out, because at the time when I started my very first company in the 90s, people were like, you're a square peg trying to go into a round hole. I can't believe you're trying to do this. And it's like, well, I've done everything else, all the guys that I went to school with, so this should just be one more thing. But it's possible to do, but there are things you have to have, like value, and you have to know which are the right people to fund you, because not all money is smart money. Not all investors are good investors to have, and it's a value exchange.
That's really good advice. Do you have any other great advice for young entrepreneurs wanting to get started?
That you should do it. You should try, and and you're gonna, take the things that may not go your way as learnings. It's not, it's like it's not going to be exactly the way you think. It's going to work out, but that's okay. But just recognize the thing that helps you on that runway is, you need to have resources to get there. So many people start businesses as side hustles until they get to a certain point, meaning, they're having their livelihood paid by either working a full-time job, and this is something I'm starting on to the side until I get to that point. But it's setting those goals to get to that point. And having a way of saying, either setting some financial goals of getting there. I mean, you guys are experts of being able to probably people's guidance related to that.
What sort of financial mistakes do you see business owners make?
Oh my gosh. The first one I see so many people is they don't want to let go of their financial stuff and not wanting to get the right people that are no more than them to let somebody else do it. Sometimes it's a feeling of, oh gosh, if I let people know just how messed up my stuff is, then they're going to think bad of me. And it's like, that is not as bad as you trying to do this and you don't know and you don't have time to do it, because that is so limiting. And starting that early. I mean, so many people go through and say, well, gosh, it's too expensive to hire an accountant to do this. I would go through and say, it's too expensive not to have an accountant.
Absolutely.
But there's so many people that are like that, or they let somebody who's not qualified to do it. And it may be when you're starting, you're going to go through and have your, immediate family member or somebody like that. But, one of the top 3 things you've got to have is being able to put the money in and finding the right person to do it, and recognizing as you grow, your requirements are going to change, and so you need to upskill your resources. But that's one that, oh my gosh, financial health is just like, blood circulating in your body. If you don't got that right,
you're in trouble.
Yeah, huge trouble.
So tell us a little bit about leadership, because obviously you run your company. You said you waited a few years before you kind of started your first businesses. Like, what drove you to kind of take that first step or kind of move forward? And obviously you're a leader of your company now.
Gosh, well, I was fortunate enough to have, some early role model as leaders, not necessarily as entrepreneurs, because that was one of the challenges that had me wait 8 years. But I worked, and started my career as a software engineer, and had, some great bosses that were mentors to me. So looking at that as models, and worked at, initially in my career, large enough companies where I got a chance to get exposed to some leadership training. Some other programs that I got exposed to, I was in sports. That's actually why I transitioned from Girl Scouts to sports. I played sports in junior high school, and college.
What was your sport?
Gymnastics.
Oh, wow.
And so had some really great coaches that were great leaders. And then the other was other leaders that I would see in the community that were running businesses, like, the great thing about getting involved with boards, especially nonprofit boards, you can meet people and work in projects. I got involved after undergraduate school and a organization called the JCs, and volunteered in a project in San Diego called America's Finest City Week. And so eventually I was able to be the chair of that. And then eventually got on the board through that exercise. And that was a really great leadership, growing opportunity, because I was overseeing thousands of events in San Diego and tens of thousands of volunteers through that as a 20-something person. So that was a really great experience. And then making the investment in myself, I got my MBA, and have had lots of mentors, paid for executive coaching. I mean, all of those things that have helped to grow the business, because where I want to take my business, I cannot do it independently, and it's so much reliant on people. And recognizing the relationship that they have to the business and the type of people that you have can be the thing that helps you or can just pull you down as well.
So true. So true.
It definitely seems like you're very proactive. You're educated. I mean, it seems like you're definitely a go-getter. So
I have a question. How do you do it all? Right. How do you balance personal, professional life?
I work at it.
Nice.
It's a constant.
You have some secrets for us?
Constant work. Constant work. I've been truly blessed. I have a supportive family. I try to combine a little bit of work and play with all that I do, but it's hard. But you have a bit of that balance between lots of work, and depending on the business option that you select for your business. If you choose to run a unicorn business, your family is going to be like so many unfortunate things is going to sacrifice, and that's why when you look at so many people that are running the major top producing companies, they have not that great family. Not all, but a large percentage of them do. So it really takes a lot. And it goes back to, the network of getting around others and how they, balance that as well.
So what do you like to do for fun?
Travel and read and, socialize with friends. My husband, when I did my first company, my husband and I, we got a timeshare in Cabo so that I could make certain every year we would go on vacation and try to go at the same time. And I would say with being an entrepreneur, you have a lot of uncertainty and things that happen outside. So I try to balance that with some other things. Like for us, it was, okay, we have this timeshare, we're going on vacation this period of time so that my husband and my son knew that this time of year we're going to go and we're going to have this particular experience. So those things, it's probably pretty predictable for me, but that's one thing. And then exercise and reading. I try to read a book a month or listen through Audible some book a month.
What is your favorite book of all time, or what a book that would potentially help our audience that you think that really stuck with you?
Oh my gosh, so many. But I am a big listener of autobiographies, and so I listen to a lot of them to learn from people. But another one, I was listening to the Steve Harvey show, and he was suggesting reading the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. And book. So I listened to the audio. That's the one. That was my book last month. Yeah.
It's a great book. I'm reading The Power of Habit right now.
Yeah. I'll have to put that on my list.
It's new. It just came out, I think, in 2022.
So can you share with us how our audience can contact you, or a good way? I don't know if you have a website or... Certainly.
I'm a big supporter of LinkedIn, so you can always ping me on LinkedIn to connect. And then the other is our website is foundersfirstcapitalpartners.com or foundersfirstcdc.org are those two. But post a question. I generally am pretty good at responding to those.
Great. Well, do you have anything else, any other words of wisdom before we wrap up? Anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I am, again, so delighted to be here. And this is one of those, I think, a bonus opportunity, because out of the Cool Women Awards, I got a chance to meet you guys, and you guys are pretty cool folks. And then what you're doing to help business owners and also other professionals to be ready for leveraging either their professional life or their business to create wealth for them is so important. So I would advise listeners to prioritize that. Have a will. I have recently had a number of people in my family that passed away without them. So the will and estate thing is a.
Yeah, we definitely look at financial planning. We're not estate planning attorneys, but we make sure our clients do get their estates in order and making sure everything's titled properly. And for us, Rachel and I do a Savvy series, so we're big advocates for helping women learn about money and investing and planning, and so we have some podcasts that we do weekly for that, as well as some live events. Once again, we do appreciate your time today. You have an amazing life and story, and just it looks like you're making a big impact in the community, so thank you.
We know that you're going to continue to do so as well.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
So we have a quote for you we wanted to close with. If you don't build your dreams, someone will hire you to build theirs.
Oh my gosh, that is so
true, right?
Isn't that true?
All right, so we've come to the end of our show. Rachel Ivanovich and myself, Catherine Magana, want to thank you for joining us on the Savvy Woman Show. And remember, knowledge is power for successful investing. Never stop learning, and savvy up. Please stay tuned for important regulatory disclosures.
Savvy Women Wealth Management is an SEC registered investment advisor. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry and how we may be able to assist. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. As always, please remember investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. Tax considerations presented may not be appropriate for every individual circumstance. A tax professional should be consulted before making any decisions about your tax liability.